Hey everybody, here's another contest question coming across. Right up at the top, can you, and if you look at what I've underlined in blue, determine the length of BC. So if you take a look on that diagram, you need to come up with the length of what I've just highlighted in purple. Okay, for today's solution, I'm gonna walk through this as if I'm stumbling, okay? Let's just say that I look at the problem and I can't see a direct path through. I'm going to describe a process where I can just stumble my way through to be able to get to a solution. Okay, here we go. Okay, I've just shrunk that diagram down just so we've got a little bit more space to work. I think if I was to stumble through a problem, the first thing I would do is look to label any given information. So AE equaling 60 means all the way across what you see there is 60. Okay, since it kind of covers up the whole diagram, I might not label that, but I'll just kind of keep it in the back of my mind. I know that DE is going to equal 8, and I know that CD is going to equal 17. Okay, I have to come up with the length of BC. So as I stated before, I need the purple length. Okay, what can I do? Well, I notice that that purple length happens to be on a triangle BAC. And I don't know anything about that triangle other than it's a right triangle. So maybe I start to think about all the things that I know about right triangles. And really, I've got some SOHCAHTOA, I know some right angle trig, but more importantly, I know Pythagorean theorem. Okay, I start to look at the other triangle then, and I notice that it is a right triangle. So all that same stuff applies. And then I notice I've got two sides of that right triangle. So I think what I would do to start off is I'm going to work inside triangle CDE. I know then that using Pythagorean theorem, I could find that third side. So I'm going to call that third side D. That's just from my labeling of triangles. And so I know that one of the shorter sides plus the other shorter side, the squares of those, have to give me my hypotenuse squared. And so now I could work my way through and I could solve for D by calculating my squareds. Now to get rid of a plus 64, I can minus 64. To get rid of a squared, I can take the square root. And when I take the square root of 225, I'm going to get 15, and I know it's only positive 15 because I'm finding a length. Okay, I'm going to go back up into my diagram, and I'm now going to erase that D, and I'm going to replace it with what I just found. There's my 15. Okay, that at least gives me everything I know on that right triangle, but again, I'm trying to stumble. So, can I use something from the right triangle to work my way into triangle BAC, the triangle that I need something from? Okay, I'm going to go back to the given information. And I notice, and I'm just going to underline it in red now, AE was 60. So I'm just going to draw on that red trace line because I just want to highlight the fact that that length of 60 that I just highlighted represents lengths on both triangles, like combined. So I know part of that length is 15. I'd really love to know what the other length was. Okay, so now I got to look at my triangles and think about what properties. Okay, I noticed that both of those triangles have right angles. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit on that triangle again. I also noticed that angle C is in both triangles. And angle C is formed by the intersection of two lines. And I notice that those angles of C are opposite each other, so I know that they're equal. Well, if you look at what I have labeled on in blue and green on my diagram, I know two angles are equal, so therefore I know all three are equal. I know that those two triangles are similar. So I'm going to just make a little note down here to say that I know that triangle BAC is similar to triangle CDE. And what do I know then if they're similar? That their sides are proportional. So whatever I do to change one side from a triangle to the other triangle, I have to do the same thing on all the corresponding sides to keep its shape. So now I just need to figure out corresponding sides. Well, that red question mark side happens to go between my green right angle marker and my blue angle marker, angle C. Well, then its corresponding side has to go between those same two angle markers, my green right angle and my blue angle C. So I know then that side CE corresponds to side AC. Okay, so now I can start to say, like, well, what do I do from one to change to the other? Well, what is the length of that question mark? Well, if you remember from the given information, what I have underlined in red, all the way across is 60. So the portion that just exists on triangle BAC has to be 45. 60 minus the 15. Okay, now that I've got that over there, I am good to go. And here's where I'm going to use that green property of sides being proportional. So let's hop onto purple over on the right side. I know then that if I'm going to take side 15, side CE, and change it into side 45, side AC, that has to be changed the exact same way throughout my triangle. So I know that on top, side CD, 17, has to get changed into the hypotenuse on the other triangle, side BC, and that's the length I'm looking for. Okay, I can solve that equation a number of ways. I could just algebraically isolate. I would hope that we would recognize that the fraction on the left side would reduce to 1/3 to at least make our numbers simpler. And maybe what we end up doing then is multiplying out and getting BC equals 51. Or maybe we say, hey, I multiply that top by 17, so I have to multiply that bottom. Whatever you do to be able to solve, that BC is going to give you a value of 51, and you are good. Nice. Okay, I'm hoping that that was a problem, or a solution, I should say, for you, that just gave you an example of what it's like to stumble. Like, I don't really know where I'm going with it, but I try some strategies. Label the given information. If you need something on one diagram, look and see if diagrams overlap or if shapes overlap. Do they share or do they have shared sides? And try to find the properties using those. Okay, I'm hoping that that helps you out with your practice. Best of luck.